are so delighted to have you with us today, Sagar. So I would quickly like to brief you about one of the researches that we have conducted on misinformation and fake news with the first-time voters, just to understand that how they feel that fake news will have an impact on general elections this year. So we will have a chat regarding the same, learning from you, your experiences. And with that, I want to understand and would like to know about your journey of understanding deepfakes and misinformation to get started. What do you feel that 2024 is a year with roughly 50 nations to go in elections this year? So what are your thoughts on the same?
Thank you so much, Pratishtha. Thank you for this introduction and thank you for inviting me for this very interesting conversation. So to begin with, like I have almost a decade of experience in political consulting, and I've always been very much interested how emerging technology making politics interesting and making better for people, of course, not only for political leaders and political parties. So understanding 2024 is going to see more than 64 elections, and we have already seen 5 elections, and there is one more election to go tomorrow for Indonesia. So I would like to begin it my journey from 2020. So what happened? Uh, so it's been already like 7 to 8 years of political. I had experience with political communications. Then we thought of doing something new. We even experimented with 3D holographic fans in 2019 general elections and 3D holographic t-shirts and stuff like that. Then we thought of introducing VDR, or we can say video dialogue replacement. So what we did, we trained the model of one of the political leader of Delhi, to be specific, Mr. Manoj Tiwari. Then we trained it on 2 languages. We trained it on Haryanvi and we trained it on English. So Manoj Tiwari normally speaks Bhojpuri. So by his permission, we did that. And we sent the Haryanvi videos in the Haryanvi belt of Delhi when the Delhi elections were going. Similarly, we sent the English video in the South Delhi part, because that's what the native language of these clusters are, which was very well receptive. So the people in Chirag Delhi, South Delhi, GK, they said like, we thought that he's just speaking in our language because the quality, intonation, texture of the voice was exactly same. So the political leader was conversating and delivering 1 minute message into their language. Similarly, the Haryanvi video was sent into the Najafgarh, Dwarka belt, where most of the Haryanvis live in Delhi. And they also said कि ये तो हमारा ऐसा लग रहा है कि हमारी भाषा में बोल रहे हैं when many housewives sent. So it was sent to almost 70 million. No, it was sent to almost 7 million to 10 million people, which was a huge number for distribution. And it was very well receptive. Understanding this technology, AI-based technology, was very in nascent stage. Still, it was very much receptive, and it was the world's first AI, or we can say positive deepfake campaign around the world, where a politician's message was delivered into multiple language with his permission, and people were astonished to look at it, like how he's speaking in multiple languages. So this was my first introduction, and I experimented with it in Delhi elections 2020, understanding that, but there were multiple loopholes. Understanding that it's ethical AI, there was no disclaimer of it. Even we were not aware. We were doing it for the first time, and then when it got like spread, it got viral. That many newspapers covered, and like it got viral everywhere. And I talked to many experts who said, all right, this needs to be regulated. There are multiple things, like you should have put a disclaimer to it, like this is synthetic media and the voice is artificially generated. So I got too many ideas related to it, like how, if we are creating a synthetic media content, understanding the responsibility of it, we should put disclaimers, we should put watermarking, so that people can get, all right, this is not this party leader is speaking. Because if we understand it, same message or any other message can be delivered with the leader's face or leader's video, and it can really create either financial scam or reputation damage to it. So then we understood, all right, this is how to go about it. And then in the last 4 years, what we have seen is multiple use cases. Most of them were, I would like to say, negative of the deepfake. And the misinformation part, I would like to understand, like, deepfake itself has a connotation, a very negative connotation. Like 99% of the media is either pornography or related to pornography of children or women, and which is very unfortunate. But we have to understand, like, how we can stop the negative use of it, and also make people aware, like how they can also educate others, they can also identify, and those who are the creators, they should know the responsibility of creating, either through they are creating through VDR, or they are creating positive deepfakes for the education purpose, or for crossing the cultural language barriers. They should understand the regulation part of it. So understanding the misinformation part, what we have seen is a flood of deep fakes, specifically this year. Like last year, we saw audio deep fake of Tamil leader, which there was a report by the rest of world. And similarly, there was deep fake of Turkish opposition leader, uh, which was in not in a very bright light, but still it didn't help him. Similarly, in Argentina, there was use cases of personalized messages using lip sync, and even last year, this year we saw two messages of uh, Imran Khan, multiple negative use cases of in Bangladesh elections where opposition leaders uh, received reputation damage. And very recently, there was a interesting use case where AI avatar also emerged of a old Indonesian president. So we have arrived in the age where AI is making political, it's affecting politics, and voters or the citizens have to be very careful about the misinformation or the disinformation part.
Terrific to know that, the work that you are doing, and maybe these are also solution-oriented programs that you have for people to know, people to understand. So what are your feelings about the role of misinformation and deepfakes in elections in general?
So in elections, what see, uh, I would like to begin it with, like, how there are so many videos circulating on Instagram and TikTok of Mr. Modi and Meloni. So those are just for entertainment purpose. Those are called cheap fakes, but still it's pushing the ruling party's agenda, because people are getting a lot of entertainment, and there are so many creators who are just getting those codes from GitHub, using RVCs and SVCs models, and they are creating it in number of songs just by using lip sync and by voice cloning. Even the quality is of not of very great, but still it's giving a entertainment push to voters. Here comes a catch, like people know that these videos are not real, but still they are enjoying. Similarly, there have been so many cases in India, in around the world, where people have seen these use cases of deepfake, but but till the time the real information comes, it becomes too late. That's what happened in Bangladesh. That's what happened in even Pakistan. Nobody knew that the message, the victory speech given by Imran Khan, it was not his voice. It was artificially generated. But still, people believed it. So, and because it was coming from his own Twitter profile. So until unless there is a disclaimer, there are authorities who are regulating it, people are going to believe it. And I believe even in the World Economic Forum, AI creation, like misinformation created by AI, is number one global challenge for every country around the world. So people have to be very careful. There have to be multiple regulations, not only from the government side. Government also obviously have to come with the advisory and the guidelines, but there have to be regulations by the uh, tech companies, the big tech companies like Meta, like TikTok, and of course there have to be uh, multiple layers of regulation for regarding the education of voters or citizens, like how to be careful about deepfakes, how to be careful about misinformation related to deepfakes, how they can believe what is real image, video, news, how to detect it, how to identify it, and how to report it. And also there should be, and understanding these regulations, there should be the punishment level as well. Like who are the creators? They have to be licensed, or they have to be regulated in the sense like anybody should not be creating these. You like there are so many creators in the dark web, but there have to be some regulation on the creation part of it, so that it should not be used very lightly and under affect the social fabric of the democracy or of any country. Because if it's going to impact, it can create riots, it can uh, lead to financial scams like the latest one happened in Hong Kong, or it can lead to even people coming in the like very aggressive mode, and which can really cause effect to the social fabric of the nation.
You mentioned that, there are certain guidelines, there are certain advisories that are being created by the government. Social media platforms are also creating it. They're also preparing for elections, so they also want to keep a control where a lot of misinformation is not there on their platforms. So when it comes to India and the government, um, since they're coming out with advisories and guidelines, so how do you think they will shape deepfake and misinformation regarding upcoming elections?
Sure, they have to be literacy programs for, like it should be part of the curriculum for the students, for college students, for school students, for undergraduate, postgraduates, for everyone at different level. And there should be peer-to-peer education as well, like who already know how to detect and how to educate about deepfakes. There should be video courses. Those who are creating for the companies, they should also launch deepfake detection courses, and they should also uh, create such courses where people can come, they can take course, and they can further educate students about it. Understanding the AI is becoming part of our life. Such courses will help the younger generation, who are going to form a very important part of the democracy. Since they are going to be 2 crore new voters, 18 plus voters, who are adding to our number of total voters, that is 97 crores this year, it become very important that they should be aware of the misinformation part, and they should be aware of the guidelines and advisory of the government on deepfakes. It is very appreciable of the current government that they noticed and they identified the dangers of deepfakes in last year, and they further, along with the stakeholders like Ministry of Electronics and IT, and with different stakeholders like think tanks, like different public advisories and civil societies, they have responded to these dangers, and they are coming out with the advisory very soon. although they have already released a few pointers, like what is the definition of deepfake, how they can be detected, and how there should be different education programs for it. But the exact guidelines are yet to come out, and it would be very great if if these guidelines can come out like very latestly, so that elections can happen without any such mishappenings. And I believe like it is very appreciable of the government that they have taken cognizance of this. um, Understanding the misinformation part of it, I think not only uh, the tech platforms also needs to be regulated. Meta has said that they are going to put disclaimers on the images and the videos they are going to publish across the platforms, whether it's Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook, and others, Threads. Similarly, Midjourney is also considering, like it's a big Gen AI platform to generate prompted images. They are also considering to ban Biden and Trump images from the upcoming US elections, which is a very welcome move. So these companies have also needs to consider such steps, so that the wave on which AI is coming to impact elections, it can be we can say there should be a break on it, and the negative use of it should be put on a pedestal and should be break down, and it should be more used for the education part, for the positive part, and of course for the communications and analysis. There are multiple use cases, positive use cases, where it can be used for like helping in the communications, helping like recently we have seen one of the very interesting positive use case called Bhashini, where PM Modi was delivering his speech in Tamil Nadu, and it was getting dubbed and translated into Tamil. And people in Tamil Nadu were listening it in their local language, which is a wonderful use of AI. So such use cases should be promoted. The any what we say there should be barriers, those should be limited related to it. And of course these use cases should be promoted to institutions. Then again, Mr. Modi said, like, we are going to push it to Supreme Court and other courts, so that those cases can be notified in the native language if a video conference is going on. So such positive use cases will make the society more brighter, and it's going to educate people around it rather spreading misinformation.
So, as you
Yeah.
rightly said, that the use of technology, because people are misusing the technology now, but we need to have more of positive impacts. Bhashini is there now. Technically, the usage is that there's more of translation in the regional languages that happen, but people will also still misuse it in different forms to try to tap others' voice and then change it into some other language so that it is not identified. So, but we need to be more responsible with it of how we are using technology currently. So my belief again is that again literacy programs needs to be kind of talked about. There needs to be stringent measures that needs to be adopted when it comes to misinformation, fake news, and AI and deepfakes. So while you mentioned about tech platforms are making guidelines and advisories for misinformation and fake news, deepfakes as well, a report out of a report, the statisticals, what they say that 80% of voters receive misinformation through Meta and its family of apps. So this is something which came as a shock to us as well, because three platforms that which Meta owns, Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, these are the three leading platforms from which first-time voters are receiving misinformation. So what, according to you, are the steps that big tech platforms can take to curb misinformation from spreading it? Anything that you want to mention, especially for them?
Yes, so when an election happens, so of course, too many things are associated with it. So, like ground ground things need to be taken care of. Like it's about the perception of a political party or of a leader to a voter, where elections are run on sentiments and win on sentiments. It affects the voters in a 360 degree, where social media becomes a part of it. Social media is holds an important part because each and every one is associated to it. Either someone is on ShareChat, it's on WhatsApp, the urban population is on Twitter and Instagram. So there are multiple tech platforms who are associated to people, and it affects the psychology of a voter somewhere or the other. And when there is a big inflow of misinformation which can impact the voter, he or she may get swayed by it and vote in some other way, right? So misinformation needs to be taken care of very responsibly by the tech companies, and they have to take the cognizance of the ethical AI usage and put disclaimers on it, put watermarking on it. There are multiple instances. There are so many apps where you can bypass the watermarking, you can bypass the disclaimers, but you have to push them because not many people know which are the apps which can bypass the watermarking. Not many people know which are the apps which can bypass the disclaimer part. And so these have to be there when any synthetic media is coming, when any even the fake news is coming, because it's a platform which holds a responsibility. If 80% of the people can get impacted by it, by the misinformation part, then again, uh, reaching out to them to spread the exact or the right information is very tough. There are so many debunking news websites. There are so many think tanks who are running different uh, uh, different platforms to debunk fake news, to detect deep fakes, whether it is audio, image, or the video. But it becomes very tough to reach out to them and then make them believe like this was not the news. Exactly, this was the news. And I've heard so many companies where the request of creating a fake audio and fake video are coming to those companies, to those Gen AI companies, and they are not responding to it. So those efforts should be appreciated. And of course, these tech platforms should become very responsible. They should completely they should completely put a ban on the robocalls. It should not be part of any country. It should be part of the platform because they are global. If Meta has almost 3 billion people registered on it, it's almost a biggest continent, bigger than Asia, bigger than MENA, bigger than Europe. So it becomes part of the uh, responsibility of the tech platform to specifically ban the robocalls, to specifically put a strict action against the creator of a deepfake, and put the disclaimers on any synthetic media and specifically related to politics, because this is where they are going to impact people's emotions. And democracy are usually run on people emotion, and they should not be impacted by the usage of misinformation.
So, do you also believe that involvement of fact checkers during elections by big tech companies will also help in curbing the whole issue of fake news, misinformation, and deep fakes? Because somewhere there are detector tools, but at times when there is bank of and plethora of information that people are consuming, that needs to be verified. Right. So there are fact-checking companies, there are fact-checking organizations who keep doing that. But should big tech companies collaborate with them, handhold with them so that they get that support?
Yes, of course, they should collaborate with media houses. They should collaborate with such fact-checking companies to burst these misinformation part. Recently, what we have seen in the Taylor Swift case, when the Taylor Swift images came from the Microsoft platform, it impacted and it was spread. It got viral in no time on Twitter or X, and then Twitter banned it next day. So anything, if you are typing Taylor Swift on Twitter, there was not an iota of it, and which was really discouraging for even any user, because not only the deepfake images were obviously not coming, but any image or any media related to Taylor Swift was not coming. So completely banning for it 1.5 day or 2 day is not the solution. But yes, stopping the virality, putting taking all the stakeholders, whether they are think tanks, whether they are fact checking news systems, along with the platform, these should be the steps which should be taken, and which should make a tech platform really responsible. Because there is one more step taken by OpenAI. What they have done, they have hired a election manager for the responsibility of their platform, and they are going to understand the importance of elections in different continents, because a number of elections uh, nations are going to get during this year, and they are going to observe, regulate the usage of OpenAI, and also understand like what should be there and what should not be there, and how OpenAI can become better understanding the democratic part and the governance part. And of course, if it's going to impact the elections, if it's going to put wrong things into the creation of a speech of a leader or anything else, or the creation of a suppose unwarranted media, then it becomes a responsibility of that election manager for the regulation part of it. So such creation of jobs should be there in such tech companies, and taking along with the stakeholders, where they should really manage the democratic side of the nations and stop the misinformation part of it.
Certainly. And where you mentioned about robocalls, I just want to ask about, like, last week we saw AI generated voice call with President Biden, which shook the American, which led to
Right.
the FCC banning AI generated robocalls as well. So do you see that a need of similar legislation in India?
Yes, of course, there should be a legislation. There should be a very strict legislation related to the voice cloning part, or not, because many daily users are receiving multiple calls related to banking, related to customer care, related to telecom. And if they are receiving a call from the political leader, they are going to believe it. What happens during an election? The companies or the consulting companies record a political leader's voice, and then it is sent to huge number of data, crores of users or voters. If it is going to be artificially generated, and you never know, like it can really impact one caste or the religion, or something can be said about any gender, race, and which can impact the socio-political understanding of the society, which needs to get stopped. So there is a need of a strict legislation understanding the robocalls. And because it's very easy, not only it's very cheap to create voice cloning through 11 labs, though those through 11 labs, those uh, audio generation is not so much fine or granular into the regional languages. But if we talk about Hindi or English, those are very fine. So if you are going to clone it, you can use it for the bad purpose, or which is going to impact the society. There should be a strict legislation, and should come out along with the deepfake advisory or guidelines, because it's about 2024 elections. It's about I believe it's not about social media, it's about personalized social media, which is going to impact voters.
And certainly 2024 is crucial for India and globally as well. As you mentioned, 62 countries, if I'm right, 62 countries that are
Yes,
going for
almost
election.
65. Yeah.
65 countries that are going for elections. So this is going to be a turning point globally as well. And all big companies, all big organizations are talking about deepfakes, generative AI, misinformation, impact of it on elections. So we are also seeing that discussions are happening a lot globally as well. So my last question to you, before we say bye to others, to our viewers as well. So what is that you would like to advise organizations like us, that how we can tackle problem of misinformation in India, since we are working on it with first-time voters, with young users. So what is your advice to us?
Yeah, I believe it becomes very important uh, to reach out to people related to information and education and communicating them in a way which is very relatable to them. So I believe there should be uh, games related to debunking deepfakes or related to fake news or related to such robocalls where they can feel relatable and they should play it. They should either those should be incentivized and they should have fun in debunking deepfakes. Rather, they are going out on a WhatsApp chat to understand WhatsApp channel to understand what fake news or the video have been spread. It should, I believe in the gamification of any education program. So such games should be introduced to young students, to the college students, to the first-time voters, not only the first-time voters, to the professionals, to senior citizens, where they can become part of it. Like such workshops on a globe, on like very big level, such courses where which is mandatory for them. Like it becomes part everyone to download one health app during COVID. Similarly, it becomes very understanding to communicate to voters and make them understand the importance of misinformation. So I believe in the gamification, and such games should be there. Not only the offline games, such online games should be there because that is where they are. Everyone is spending their huge amount of time, at least 4.5 hours a day. Yes.
Certainly, certainly. That is a really value-added advice to us as well. Kids, because they want to explore the world through gamification. So certainly
Correct.
this is a great point raised. We are hopeful that in the coming years we have uh, games that actually talks about misinformation, debunking of fake news and misinformation. So hopefully all the developers who are watching this video can take these ideas to develop certain games on misinformation and disinformation and how to debunk it. So probably a great idea for you. And thank you, Sagar, for giving us your time and for giving us so much material for learning. And this was insightful for us. And I'm hopeful that all the viewers who are watching this will enjoy this as well.